The day I found out the infertility diagnosis was a misdiagnosis, I saw my husband helping his little secretary with her prenatal checkup. Will Chloe be angry knowing I'm pregnant with your child? Soren Zhao frowned. Once the child is born, I'll adopt it under Chloe's name. I stood in the corner and smiled, laughing at him, Soren Zhao, for being unfaithful and still trying to act virtuous. I don't want this identity of Mrs. Zhao, walking out of the corner. I appeared before Soren Zhao so suddenly and without pretense. I watched as he studied Lily Gu's arm. His eyes paused for a moment before he chuckled. What a coincidence. I opened my mouth with sarcasm, and Soren Zhao, as if jolted by electricity, immediately released Lily Gu's arm. After hesitating for a long time, seeing that I had no intention of moving, he had no choice but to brace himself and meet me. Chloe, don't get me wrong. You know Lily Gu is a company employee. She suddenly felt unwell at the company today. As the company owner, I have to consider her health, so I had to bring her to the hospital for a checkup, but he had already forgotten that even a checkup didn't require coming to the obstetrics department. Besides, Lily Gu was holding an antenatal checkup report in her hand. I didn't take the initiative to expose him. I just looked at them with a smile. Seeing that I didn't speak, Soren Zhao quickly changed the subject again. Chloe, why did you suddenly come to the hospital? Are you feeling unwell again? He looked at me with concern, the expression on his face utterly genuine. I don't know how he can so naturally make such an affectionate gesture. He subconsciously wanted to hold my hand, but I subtly avoided it. The thought of him tenderly holding Lily Gu just now makes me feel disgusted. The doctor asked me to get some medicine, to see if it can cure my illness. Soren Zhao didn't doubt it and even breathed a sigh of relief. After 3 years of marriage without children, I had a physical examination. Unexpectedly, the results of the physical examination were not ideal. I was diagnosed with infertility. They said I had polycystic ovaries, making it difficult to conceive. At that time, Soren Zhao, although saddened, quickly cheered up and comforted me. He held me and gently patted my back, making a vow. Don't be afraid, Chloe. It's better if we don't have children, then you'll be the only one in my life, and I can put all my love on you, and no one can take it away. Unfortunately, this sentence was only valid for 1 month. This man not only broke his vows, but also changed his heart, bringing another woman for a prenatal checkup. Soren Zhao quickly showed a surprised smile on his face, gazing at me affectionately. Don't worry, honey. This isn't a major problem. I believe we can overcome it as long as we work together. He spoke with conviction, his face full of sincerity. A flicker of mockery flashed in my eyes. If only he really thought that way, then she wouldn't have brought the pregnant Lily Gu for a checkup just a month later. Calculating the time, I'm afraid Soren Zhao was already preparing when I found out about my infertility. After guessing this truth, it felt like a seam had opened in my heart, and gusts of piercingly cold wind poured in. Actually, I already saw the doctor just now. The infertility symptoms I was diagnosed with last time were actually a misdiagnosis by the hospital. Not only do I not have these crazy illnesses, but I am also very healthy. As for the reason why I haven't been able to get pregnant yet, the doctor said there are many, like having a regular routine, like emotions, but I'm not planning to tell Soren Zhao any of this right now. Picking up my bag, I walked towards the door, saying to Soren Zhao, "You guys go ahead with the checkup. I won't bother you. I'll head back first." Soren Zhao followed behind me, saw me to the hospital entrance, and considerately stopped a taxi with a gentle expression. "Honey, you go home first. I'll stay with Lily and make sure she finishes her checkup, then I'll come home right away and make your favorite braised pork." He thoughtfully opened the car door for me and even paid the fare in advance, making the taxi driver envious of me. "You're so lucky, madam, to have such a wonderful husband." I just smiled and didn't say much. There's too much hypocrisy behind this happiness. Only after watching me get in the car and leave did he turn back to the hospital. I know he has always been cautious, only relaxing after seeing me leave with his own eyes. Only Soren Zhao doesn't know. At the street corner, I got out of the car and returned to the hospital parking lot. After finding his car, I hid in a corner, quietly waiting for him and Lily Gu to appear, just as I had just hidden myself. My phone suddenly vibrated. I was startled, thinking that Soren Zhao had found me. Opening it, I stood there, my hands and feet ice cold. It was Lily Gu deliberately sending a message to provoke me. The message came with a photo of her prenatal checkup report, followed by a line of text that reeked of smugness. Chloe Shen, look, I'm pregnant, with Soren Zhao's child. You, a barren woman, will never enjoy this kind of treatment in your life. Another photo followed, showing Soren Zhao beaming as he supported her. Although I knew she was pregnant long ago, I have to admit that Lily Gu's message still stirred up the restlessness in my heart at this moment. You can't seriously believe that when a man says he loves you, it's true love, can you? There are 3 unfilial acts, and having no descendants is the greatest. What right does a hen that can't lay eggs have to sit in the position of Mrs. Zhao? If I were you, I would have cleared out long ago. To avoid being kicked out by me and losing face, the veins on the back of her hand bulged as she gripped the phone tightly. After waiting outside for more than an hour, she finally saw the figures of Soren Zhao and Lily Gu. Soren Zhao was driving, and Lily Gu was sitting in the passenger seat. As the car started, I saw Lily Gu deliberately throwing herself at Soren Zhao. The two were passionately kissing in the parking lot, unable to tear themselves away. Lily Gu suddenly stopped Soren Zhao's movements. President Zhao, we can't do this here. Let's wait until we get to my place. But I need to go back and cook for Chloe. Can't you skip it? I have a special gift for you today. He was already captivated, his voice hoarse. All right, I want to see what kind of gift this little imp has prepared. Didn't Director Zhao say he was going to make dinner for his wife? I'll make it up to her next time. Hearing this, I closed my eyes. Barely holding back the tears, I turned off my phone, losing my appetite to continue reading. The last bit of hope I had left in my heart just shattered. Soren Zhao drove away quickly. Only then did I dazedly return home. I received a call from Soren Zhao not long after I sat down. His voice was hurried, apologetic, and tinged with embarrassment. Honey, I'm sorry. I don't even know how to tell you this. I held the phone, knowing full well what he was going to say. It's okay, just tell me. I don't know what these employees are doing. There's a problem with the company contract, and I have to go back to work. I might be very late today. Hearing these words, tears streamed down my face unconsciously. I always thought I was not strong and wouldn't be sad, but under Soren Zhao's repeated coaxing, I still couldn't stop sobbing. Seeing that I didn't speak, Soren Zhao seemed to notice something. Honey, are you okay? It's all my fault. Please don't be angry. It's not worth it to ruin your health because of me. I will definitely come home earlier. I took a deep breath, suppressing the sobs. It's okay. I just suddenly feel a little homesick. Then I won't go to the office tomorrow. I'll go home with you to see your parents. Even if they try to chase me away this time, I won't leave. I'll stay with you. After that, I didn't say anything, and hung up the phone directly. Looking back on so many years of marriage, I have rarely gone home, because my parents have always disagreed with me marrying Soren Zhao. They always say Soren Zhao is just after the family's money and resources, but Soren Zhao saved my life. I will always remember in that car accident, the dignified president of the Zhao Corporation almost kneeling on the ground begging the passers-by to help lift the overturned car for me. The rain washed the blood from his wounds, staining a patch of his clothing red, so much so that when he proposed to me later, saying he would love me forever, I believed him without hesitation. But it's only been 3 years. Turns out his Soren Zhao's forever is just 3 years. This day Soren Zhao came home very late. Maybe he was too tired. He just took off his coat and went into the room. I closed my eyes and lay down, and I could clearly feel an arm around me. and a faint scent of perfume wafted into my nose. Very similar to when I met Lily Gu at the hospital during the day. In an instant, a feeling of nausea rushed to my head. I couldn't stop myself and ran to the bathroom to throw up. Soren Zhao, somewhat puzzled, followed cautiously behind me, patting my back. "Honey, what's wrong with you? Are you sick or feeling unwell?" I threw up until the world spun, and when I looked up at myself in the mirror, I had lost all my radiance. Soren Zhao reached forward, wanting to hug me. I pried his fingers off of me. One by one, meeting his somewhat bewildered and lost gaze, I said expressionlessly, "Soren Zhao, the smell on you is too awful. It's disgusting." The man was stunned, his hand frozen where I had moved it away. After a long while, he pretended to be relaxed and said, "I must have picked up a lot of smells today at the hospital and then at the company. I'll go wash up right away." He looked at me nervously, as if trying to read my mind. I covered my throbbing head and nodded. "Even now, he's still lying to me. I'm not feeling well today, so I'll sleep in the guest room." Walking past Soren Zhao, I grabbed my pillow and prepared to go to the guest room. His eyes flickered slightly, following closely behind me, his mouth opening many times as if to ask me something, but in the end, he couldn't say a word. He didn't dare to ask me the reason, even less did he dare to ask if I knew something. After all, some things can never be restored once they are discovered. Soren Zhao could only watch me close the door. He stood outside the door for a long time before saying, "Rest well, don't overthink things, wife, good night." When I woke up the next day, it was already noon. After all the tossing and turning last night, I felt a little listless. When I went downstairs, I found Soren Zhao had already prepared breakfast. Soren Zhao thoughtfully placed the cutlery in front of me, and then brought out a glass of soy milk. "Good morning, wife. This is your favorite Xiaolongbao." Looking at his undiminished, affectionate smile, I couldn't help but feel a little dazed. For 3 years, Soren Zhao has always been able to give me a sufficient sense of ceremony, from good night in the evening to good morning in the morning. It has never been interrupted for 3 years, even when he was on a business trip, so busy that he couldn't cope, he would send a message. I had just sat down when Soren Zhao's phone rang. He glanced at me and finally answered the phone. I don't know what he said, but a hint of hesitation quickly appeared on his face. I pretended not to notice and picked up a bun and took a bite. The filling inside was already cold, and the soy milk I drank was also cold and had a strange taste. Putting down his chopsticks, Soren Zhao's phone had already rung 3 times. He finally couldn't sit still, stepped forward, and tucked the stray hair from my forehead behind my ear. "Honey, you eat breakfast first. I need to go to the company." I lowered my head and asked him without any emotion, "Didn't you say yesterday that you weren't going to the company and would come home with me?" Soren Zhao paused in his steps to leave. I was mentally preparing to count to 10, but he left without hesitation at just the 6th second. "I'll be right back, wait for me." After he left, the family's nanny came back from taking out the trash. Seeing the cold soup dumplings and soy milk on my table, she looked somewhat doubtful. "Madam, you need to tell the master not to buy anything from this place next time. This clearly looks like someone else's leftovers. You shouldn't eat it. Who knows if that person has some kind of illness? It's not worth getting sick. If you want to eat soup dumplings, I'll make them for you." I immediately got goosebumps all over and quickly grabbed the trash can and started vomiting. No wonder everything was cold. There was a thin layer of oil floating on the soy milk. Once again, I couldn't help but be impressed by Soren Zhao. Throw everything into the trash can. Just then, my phone vibrated. The message was sent by Lily Gu. "Did you finish the steamed buns and soy milk today? That was a gift I specially asked Soren Zhao to take back for you because I didn't finish them. You should be glad that Soren Zhao is here this time, or I might have added something extra. If you don't leave soon, you won't be so lucky next time." I suddenly laughed out loud and replied to Lily Gu with the first message, "I'm going to the Zhao family's old house for dinner tomorrow. I'll be waiting for you." I didn't wait for Soren Zhao afterward. and returned to the Shin family alone. When I got home, my parents were both there and had already prepared the meal. This time I came back, I was ready to divorce Soren Zhao. When I mentioned it to my parents, they were very happy, and even wanted to take me to the Zhao family's old house right away, but I stopped them. Tomorrow is the weekend, and I go to the Zhao family's old house for dinner every weekend. That will be the best time for me to reveal everything. The reason I came back today is because when I got married all those years ago, I brought a dowry with me. Now that we're getting divorced, I want Soren Zhao to pay me back double. I also want to have the family company prepare in advance for the separation from the Zhao group. Back at Soren Zhao's villa, I thought he hadn't returned yet. Unexpectedly, upon opening the door, I was met with Soren Zhao's panicked and uneasy expression. He embraced me in a frenzy, his words tumbling over each other. "Honey, where did you go? Do you know how worried I was? I called you so many times but couldn't reach you. I almost reported you missing." Soren Zhao's eyes reddened with anxiety, and he held me tightly in his arms, as if holding some precious treasure, unwilling to let go for even a second. I forcibly suppressed the nausea in my heart. "You're already preparing to have a child with another woman, so what's with this act of being so deeply in love with me?" I said I was going back to the Shin family. "You were the one who broke the promise," I said lightly. A touch of guilt flashed in Soren Zhao's eyes. He took my hand, full of affection. "It's my fault, all my fault for not arranging the company's affairs properly, and breaking my promise again. But don't worry, we're going back to the old house for dinner tomorrow, and I'll definitely keep you company." I lowered my head, but refused him. "I'm not feeling well tomorrow, so I won't go." The sudden refusal made Soren Zhao's expression very unpleasant. He quickly asked me 2 more questions, probing. "Where do you feel unwell? Do you want me to take you to the hospital to see a doctor?" I shook my head and walked towards the second bedroom, just saying that I would be fine after a sleep. Soren Zhao followed behind me, his concerned eyes watching me the whole time. Seeing that I really didn't want to go, he didn't press the issue any further. The next day at noon, I checked the time and, feeling it was about right, took the things I had prepared and went to the old Zhao family residence. The first thing I saw when I entered was Lily Gu. The entire Zhao family was smiling as they welcomed her. Mrs. Zhao happily took Lily Gu's hand and sat with her. "Lily, you've really worked hard." "Thanks to Lily, our Shin family has an heir and won't die out." Mr. Zhao nodded in agreement. "That's right, Soren, even though Lily and you are not legally recognized, you must take good care of her." Soren Zhao's voice, tinged with pride, rang out. "Dad, don't worry, this is my child. Of course I'll take good care of them." Hearing all this from outside the door, my heart turned ice cold. Hearing Soren Zhao's words, I clenched my fists and could no longer hold back from pushing open the door. This family has long been a mess. They all knew it, just trying to hide it from me. In that case, let's just break up then. It's rare to see Secretary Gu having dinner at the old house too. What's making you so happy? Why don't you tell me about it as well? Everyone turned around, their expressions changing. Soren Zhao blurted out in horror, "Why are you here? If I didn't come, how could I witness this harmonious and loving scene of your family? Or did my arrival interrupt your enjoyment?" Soren Zhao hurried forward, trying to grab my hand, but I dodged him. "Chloe, don't misunderstand. Lily's family had an accident, and since we were having a get-together today, I just brought her home for a meal. There's nothing else going on." Zhao's mother also quickly got up, pulled me aside, and prepared to find a seat. Lily Gu sat motionless next to Soren Zhao. This position used to be mine. Soren Zhao saw it too, opened his mouth as if to speak, but finally remained silent. I suddenly laughed. "So, this is the kind of person I've loved for the past 3 years. Stop acting. It's painful to watch." That one sentence made everyone on the field look very unhappy. Soren Zhao couldn't help but glare at me this time. "Chloe Shin, what do you mean by that? I asked you yesterday, and you said you weren't feeling well and wouldn't come. Now, Lily is just sitting in your seat. Do you really need to be so sarcastic? Zhao's mother also frowned. There are plenty of seats here. Sit if you want, stand if you don't. Lily Gu gave me a provocative look. For a moment, the scene really had a besieged on all sides feeling. I directly threw out the divorce agreement. There's no need to sit down. Anyway, it won't take long. As long as you sign this divorce agreement, I'll leave immediately. The words had just fallen. The whole room was silent. Soren Zhao stood up abruptly, staring at me with an ugly expression. What did you say? Chloe, you want to divorce me? He pointed at his own nose in disbelief, looking utterly shocked. I nodded. You heard right. It's a divorce. I want 70% of your assets after the marriage, now that things have come to this. I'll just show my fangs. Betraying me, Chloe Shen, won't be so easy these years. With the money earned by my Shen family, I will make Soren Zhao spit it all out. Hearing my exorbitant demands, this opened up the floodgates for Zhao's mother, who began to berate me. Divorce is fine, but how dare you ask for 70% of our Zhao family's assets? This was all earned by my son bit by bit. What does it have to do with you? You eat and live off the Zhao family every day. And after all these years, your belly hasn't shown any signs of movement. You can't even lay an egg. Marrying you is a misfortune for our Zhao family. I waited for Zhao's mother to finish speaking casually before taking out a few photos and throwing them on the table. You can refuse, but I'll sue immediately, leaving Soren Zhao with nothing, and then everything will be mine. Zhao's mother didn't dare to speak anymore, hearing that Soren Zhao would be left with nothing. Even Lily Gu couldn't sit still. She had waited so long for this day. How could she go back to her old life without enjoying even a single day of happiness? Chloe Shen, have you no shame? This is extortion. I stepped forward and slapped her. I've been unable to bear it for a long time, seeing those text messages she sends every day. You're the shameless one, aren't you? Stepping in as the other woman and getting pregnant before even getting married. At the end of the day, this is just an illegitimate child. You better pray that Zhao and I can get divorced smoothly, or I'll make sure you get nothing. Lily Gu was scared by me and didn't dare to fight back. She could only cry and throw herself onto Soren Zhao. Mr. Zhao, you see, Chloe Shen doesn't respect you at all. She only married you for your money. These are all the result of her deliberate scheming. Otherwise, how would these photos exist? Soren Zhao looked dejectedly at each photo, all of which captured the scene of him and Lily Gu kissing passionately in the hospital parking lot that day. He was still struggling with a glimmer of hope. These photos are fake. You have to believe me. These photos can be photoshopped at any time. But the next second, when I took out the video, Soren Zhao's face turned ashen. He asked me blankly, "Wife, you spare me. It's better to call me by my name. I find it disgusting." Soren Zhao's body suddenly swayed. He took a deep breath and looked at me with complicated eyes. "Chloe, you heard everything that day at the hospital, didn't you?" I nodded without hesitation, and said to Lily Gu with a mocking tone, "Didn't your little lover want to see my reaction after knowing she was pregnant? You saw it today, didn't you? I didn't let you down, did I?" Lily Gu stared at me with murderous eyes, but didn't dare to move. Soren Zhao looked at me affectionately, as if grasping at a life-saving straw, and said to me urgently, "Chloe, then you should have also heard me say that I want to adopt this child, adopt it in both our names, so it will be our child." I pretended to consider it and didn't speak. This time Lily Gu couldn't help but interject, "No, I don't agree. This is my child. Why should I give him to someone else to raise?" Chloe Shen, you vicious woman, you can't even have your own children, and now you want to steal mine. I spread my hands, making a helpless expression. You see, your little lover doesn't agree. She's single-mindedly focused on marrying into a wealthy family and becoming Mrs. Zhao. She finally got pregnant, and now that success is within reach, how could she possibly agree? Perhaps she saw that I was moved. Soren Zhao spoke up displeased. "She has no say in this matter." Who raises the child after it's born is not up to her. She cast a disdainful glance at Lily Gu as she spoke. Now even Zhao's mother started speaking up for me. Chloe, don't worry, you are the only daughter-in-law I recognize in the Zhao family. That Lily Gu is just a secretary in the company, merely using her womb to have a child. She is not qualified to marry into my Zhao family. Zhao's father chimed in. That's right. Only now are you my Zhao family's daughter-in-law. Of course you'll raise the child. Lily Gu looked at the family with a contorted face. Her eyes reddened with anger. She gritted her teeth. I watched, feeling delighted, and cast the challenging look she had just given me back on Lily Gu. See that? So what if you're pregnant with the Zhao family's child? You really think you can just walk into this family whenever you want? Soren Zhao thought I had accepted it and breathed a sigh of relief. He stepped forward, wanting to take my hand. But I dodged him expressionlessly. You almost had me convinced. What a pity, what a pity. I can have my own child. Why would I raise a child for someone else? Soren Zhao's face changed drastically. His pupils dilated, and his voice stretched into an unnatural screech. How is that possible? The doctor said you couldn't conceive. I pulled an examination report from my bag and spoke to Soren Zhao in a very surprised tone. Didn't I tell you? It was a misdiagnosis by the hospital last time. The words misdiagnosis caused Soren Zhao to stumble and fall to the ground. He was still racking his brains, thinking about how to convince me to adopt the child, but I never expected that all of this was a misdiagnosis by the hospital. Soren Zhao sat on the ground, finally managing to prop himself up and lean against the table. Waking up from the confusion, he asked me with a bitter smile. So you've been waiting for this day all along, to reveal everything, just to divorce me. I also wiped away all the expressions on my face. I coldly looked at Soren Zhao. Shouldn't I be surprised? I was just diagnosed with infertility a month ago, and Lily Gu is already pregnant. I have to commend you on your skill in finding a backup plan. Soren Zhao couldn't say a word. He could only look at me imploringly. Chloe, you should be able to understand me, right? This is a matter for the descendants of my Zhao family. I can't be without an heir. I nodded without hesitation. I understand. That's why I'm getting a divorce. You only care about the descendants of your Zhao family, and I don't matter to you at all. Be smart and sign the divorce agreement quickly, or if you really force me to take it to court, don't blame me for leaving you with nothing. Walking out of the Zhao family's old house, behind her, came Zhao's mother's continuous cries and complaints. Soren, we were all wrong. This Chloe Shen isn't some harmless little bunny. She's a demon. She's going to take 70% of your assets, so what if he cheated and got someone pregnant? It's her own fault she couldn't have children. 3 years from now, she'll get nothing. Enough. Soren Zhao suddenly roared. His head was buzzing, the world spinning, and he couldn't hear anything. Only the word divorce remained in his mind. After a long while, Soren Zhao steadied himself, took a deep breath, and a layer of red had already stained the depths of his eyes. Give me the divorce agreement. When the divorce agreement was in Soren Zhao's hands, he looked at Chloe Shen's flamboyant signature. The tears that had accumulated in his eyes could no longer be held back. He still remembered the first time he saw Chloe Shen. He was fooled by her. That's why he had that car accident later, and he ignored the threats and begged passers-by to save her. It was only after marrying her that he lost his original intention without realizing it. It wasn't until he found out that Chloe Shen was infertile that his restless heart felt like it had escaped its cage. He became greedy and even came up with such a plan. Since she couldn't have children, even if he brought a child home, he could convince Chloe Shen to adopt. Soren Zhao never expected this. All of this was actually a misdiagnosis by the hospital from the moment they got married. Soren Zhao never thought there would be a day they would get divorced, but today, he still lost the woman who loved him the most. He took the wrong path. He hated himself, hated the hospital, and hated Lily Gu. signed the divorce agreement. Soren Zhao felt like he had lost half his life and slumped in his chair. Lily Gu watched with a beaming smile, seizing the opportunity to take Soren Zhao's arm. "Now that you're divorced, it's perfect timing for us to get married," she pouted, patting her belly. "Otherwise, if we wait a few more months, my belly will be too big to fit into a wedding dress for photos." Unexpectedly, Soren Zhao raised his hand and slapped her. His scarlet eyes stared at her like an enemy. "Marriage? How dare you mention marriage? If you hadn't seduced me back then, how could I have cheated? How could I have betrayed Chloe? How could I have gotten divorced?" After speaking, he punched and kicked Lily Gu. If Zhao's parents hadn't stopped them in time, Lily Gu's baby definitely wouldn't have survived. "Enough. Let's just get divorced. It's too late to say anything now. The most important thing is to save the baby." No one would give Lily Gu a second glance. Even the Zhao family's servants didn't give her a kind look. If it weren't for this child, she wouldn't even be able to enter the Zhao family's door. After leaving the Zhao family, I took a car back to Soren Zhao's villa. I packed up and sent away all my clothes, luggage, and everything related to me from these past 3 years. When Soren Zhao came back, I was pushing my suitcase, ready to leave. He suddenly stood in front of me, blocking my way, his eyes red, standing there helplessly like a child. "Chloe, I know I was wrong. Can't you forgive me just this once? As long as you can forgive me, I'll do anything you want." He was at fault, and he acknowledged it. But he can't accept divorce. But I've already seen through him. This is just his last struggle and unwilling attempt to test the waters. "Have you signed the divorce agreement? Bring it here." Reaching out towards Soren Zhao, a flicker of pain crossed his face. He slowly and deliberately retrieved the crumpled divorce agreement from his chest. I took it and glanced at the writing, nodding with satisfaction. "I will contact you in a month to get the divorce certificate." After saying that, I pushed my luggage away. Soren Zhao called out to me from behind, unwilling to give up. "Chloe, is there really no chance for me at all?" I didn't say anything and left the neighborhood directly. Soren Zhao couldn't stop his body from weakening and knelt on the steps in front of the door. He suddenly hated himself. Why couldn't he control himself for a moment and do such a foolish thing, leaving no room for redemption now? After receiving the divorce agreement, I went home. Not many days passed before I started taking over the family business. Over the years of marriage with Soren Zhao, I gave up a lot: family, career, hobbies. I devoted all my time to my family, but the result was a complete failure, which has led to me taking over the company and having to start from the ground up. To quickly improve my management skills, I spent all my time working and studying, wishing I could split myself in two. Soren Zhao calls and texts me more than a dozen times every day. Every message was nothing more than saying he was wrong and begging for forgiveness. I postponed picking up the divorce certificate for 2 days due to being busy with work. Finally finding the time to do it a month later, I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau with the divorce certificate in hand. With a dazed expression, Soren Zhao had lost his usual radiant spirit. He held the divorce certificate dumbly and asked me, "Chloe, don't you really want to see me? I've called you so many times and sent you so many messages, but you haven't replied. You couldn't even find time to get the divorce certificate." I looked at Soren Zhao in surprise. "We're getting divorced anyway. Of course I don't want to see him. Now that it's over, it needs to be a clean break. Otherwise, how can I start over?" Soren Zhao stood there looking at me for a long time, as if trying to see through my lies. Just then, a car pulled up by the side of the road, and a man got out and waved at me. He opened his mouth again with a question. "That person is you?" I waved my arm at the man in the same way first, then nodded, before answering Soren Zhao's words. "Boyfriend." Soren Zhao tipped 2 steps back inadvertently, his right hand covering his heart. I ignored him and trotted to the car. After getting in the car, I kissed the man's cheek. "Thank you for picking me up, of course. But your ex-husband didn't seem too happy. We're strangers now. How can I still care whether he's happy or not?" After that day, the next time I saw Soren Zhao was more than half a year later, a gathering in the circle. Many people know about my relationship with Soren Zhao. When Soren Zhao arrived, there were only 2 seats left at the large round table. He paused, about to sit next to me. Just as he was about to sit down, I placed my bag on the chair next to me and spoke softly. "This seat is taken. Please find another seat, Director Zhao." Soren Zhao's eyes flickered for a moment, and he sat down in the last remaining seat without a word. The atmosphere was a little awkward for a moment. A friend suggested playing a game to liven things up. Truth or dare? Soren Zhao was unlucky enough to be the first. "I'll choose truth. Among the people here, is there anyone you like?" The moment this card was revealed, my friends all started to jeer. This is practically a freebie question. Everyone knows Soren you like Chloe for the past 6 months. Soren Zhao has made a well-known spectacle of trying to win me back, but I can't go back. Next round. Unfortunately, when it was my turn, I chose truth or dare. Find a man here and kiss him for 10 seconds. Everyone started to egg me on. Soren Zhao's gaze also fell on me without any pretense. Just as everyone was waiting for my response, the door to the private room was pushed open. Sorry, I was late due to traffic on the way. I stood up and went straight to him, kissing him for 10 seconds. While the man was still a little confused, I casually introduced him to everyone. "This is my boyfriend." So the dare from just now is completed. The room was silent. No one noticed Soren Zhao's hands on the armrest were clenched into fists. Halfway through the party, I excused myself to go to the restroom. When I came out, I ran into a slightly drunk Soren Zhao. He stood in front of me, and after a long time, he asked, "Is this man not the same one we had when we got our divorce certificate?" I was washing my hands, without even turning my head. "Oh, that one. We broke up a long time ago. This is the newest one." Soren Zhao leaned against the wall. His eyes were fixed on the back of my head. "Chloe, you've changed one after another. Haven't you ever considered looking back?" I suddenly laughed, still without looking back at him. "Mr. Zhao, don't joke around. Your little darling is probably about to give birth. You should consider yourself before leaving." I gave Soren Zhao another heavy blow. I walked past him with a hint of amusement. "You should go to the hospital for a checkup when you have time." Soren Zhao's body trembled slightly. I smiled mysteriously without answering him. On the day I went to the hospital and found out it was a misdiagnosis, the doctor suggested that Soren Zhao should also get a checkup. They said if I was fine, then the man was most likely the one with the problem. I've kept this a secret all along, until now. Lily Gu's baby is almost due. The planted bomb should have gone off. For a while after that, I focused on researching projects at the company, forgetting about the bomb I had lit, until one day, I saw a tragic case on the news. I only learned about the Zhao family's tragedy from a friend. Soren Zhao finally went to the hospital and was diagnosed with infertility. That night, he suddenly went crazy and forced Lily Gu, who is 9 months pregnant, to have an induced abortion. Lily Gu almost died in the operating room, and Soren Zhao did a paternity test with the child. The result was naturally unrelated. He had been raising someone else's child and wife for almost a year. This matter quickly spread throughout the circle, and the Zhao family lost face. After the matter was discovered, Lily Gu was beaten and scolded by Soren Zhao every day. Without even postpartum confinement, she was dragged out of the hospital by Soren Zhao, until one day, the unbearable Lily Gu took a knife to the drunken Soren Zhao. Later, she almost slashed through the entire Zhao family. In the end, of the Zhao family, only the wounded mother Zhao remained. Lily Gu was also sentenced to death for intentional harm. Speaking of which, Lily Gu's actions actually brought me quite a bit of benefit. The Zhao family declined. I seized the opportunity to grab a significant share of the market. Before her execution, I made a special trip to see her one last time. The person was already insane, looking somewhat pitiable, but pity the victim, for they are sure to be blameworthy. Let me tell you the second story. Married for 7 years. It seems my husband is having an affair. In the middle of the night, he was dead drunk. Supported by his subordinate as he knocked on the door, I coaxed my awakened daughter back to sleep, wiped his body clean, and propped up his pillow to prevent him from choking on vomit. He stroked my face, mumbling incoherently, "Lyra, you're still the best to me," looking at his sleeping profile. I didn't close my eyes all night. Still the best to him, meaning, someone has been unkind to him. Enzo Joe's phone password is my birthday. I've always known that. I just believe that everyone should have some personal space, so I never checked his phone. Married for 7 years, he is a qualified husband and a good father. I trust him quite a bit, so naturally I couldn't find a reason to look at his phone. But today, I suddenly became a little curious. He was sleeping soundly. The smell of alcohol on him was strong and pungent, his breathing heavy and long, dead drunk. I found his phone in his coat pocket and entered the password to unlock it. However, I was disappointed. There was nothing on his phone. The desktop background is a photo of me and my daughter Kitty, and so is the lock screen wallpaper. His WeChat was clean, full of work messages. Meituan also shows no unfamiliar hotel expenses or food delivery addresses. Alipay has no suspicious transfer records either. No social networking apps are installed. It's so clean that it even makes me doubt my own judgment. I put down my phone and stared at Enzo Joe's face for a long time. Although the doubts in my mind have not completely disappeared, but I have to admit, maybe I'm just overthinking it. The next morning at breakfast, I casually brought up the subject to Enzo Joe. "Do you remember what you said last night when you were drunk?" Enzo Joe paused his porridge drinking, glanced up at me, his expression showing no sign of guilt. "What did I say? Did I say bad things about you?" I looked at him calmly and intently. "Think again." Enzo Joe took a big gulp of porridge and shook his head. "I can't remember. Who has any impression when they've blacked out?" Before I could say anything, he added, "You know how I am when I drink. I like to talk nonsense when I'm drunk. Even if I said something last night, it was all nonsense, so don't take it seriously." I stirred the porridge in my bowl, a faint smile creeping onto my lips. "Really, I don't think you were talking nonsense at all." Enzo Joe's movements visibly slowed, and his expression became more serious. He stared at me for several seconds before speaking again. "What exactly did I say?" His tone carried a hint of caution and unease that even he didn't seem to notice. I looked at his face. He seemed a bit unnerved by my stare and awkwardly shifted his gaze. After a long while, I suddenly chuckled and said, "You said you'd only love me in this lifetime. What? Does that not count after you sober up?" Enzo Joe suddenly seemed to breathe a huge sigh of relief. "I thought I'd said something outrageous. You scared me to death." He turned and laughed again. "I take back what I just said. Okay, this isn't nonsense. Everyone in the company knows how much I love my wife." I smiled and didn't say anything more. Enzo Joe went to work. I sent my daughter Kitty to school. Kitty just started kindergarten in the junior class and gets along well with the other children in the class. The teachers also like her personality. When I handed my daughter to the teacher, she waved to me excitedly and said goodbye. This was in stark contrast to the other children around her who looked miserable about going to school. After saying goodbye to my daughter, I got ready to drive home. The phone on the center console suddenly made a sound and a WeChat message popped up. It was from Enzo Joe, but he quickly retracted it. Probably sent to the wrong person, although the message only popped up for a brief moment. I still saw it. "Don't joke like that. Didn't we use protection last time?" The sunlight outside the car was scorching, stinging back through the window. The car's air conditioning was not yet on. Despite the muggy and sticky temperature, I felt as if my heart was immersed in an icehouse. "It's bitterly cold." I pretended not to see the message and drove home. I sat in the study for a long time. My head was full of what Enzo Joe said last night, and the message I just received. Strictly speaking, I don't believe in eternal love. Even if Enzo Joe and I seem so in love, actually, my dad wasn't a faithful person to begin with. He spent decades indulging in various extravagances outside of marriage, and my mom just turned a blind eye. As long as my dad kept bringing money home, she didn't care about anything else. They acted for decades as if nothing was wrong, so convincingly that even relatives thought we were a model of marital harmony. But if I had to live that kind of life, I don't think I could. With the example of my parents' generation before me, I naturally wouldn't believe any sweet talk or vows of eternal love, so I was always prepared for Enzo Joe to cheat on me. I just never expected this matter to be presented to me in such a dramatic way. Counting carefully, Enzo Joe and I have been together for 12 years. We got together in college and got married soon after graduation. After the marriage, we started a business together. He was responsible for technology and organization, and I was responsible for copywriting and promotion. Starting a business is not easy. During the most difficult times, he and I ate instant noodles and salted vegetables with plain congee for a whole week, and we had less than 5 hours of rest each day. Because we were afraid of project errors, we had to do everything ourselves, and we were overwhelmed with work every day. Later, we finally gradually turned the original startup company into something decent. The scale became larger and larger, and the prospect became clearer and clearer. After those difficult initial days, our lives gradually improved, and our careers gradually got on track. Later, I became pregnant with Kitty, and I gradually stepped back from the front lines and stopped interfering with company matters, simply offering my quiet support to Enzo Joe from behind the scenes. Friends around us all said we were a golden couple, and that Enzo Joe wouldn't have achieved what he has today without me, because I've been staying at home to take care of my daughter. It's been a long time since I last went to the company. In my spare time, I would write articles online myself, and I had almost no work-related interaction with Enzo Joe. Therefore, I naturally didn't know what Enzo Joe had encountered at the company or what new people he had met. I sat in the study all morning, but I didn't write a single word. I kept thinking, if Enzo Joe really cheated on me, what should I do next? In the afternoon, I received a call from Enzo Joe asking me to bring a document to his company. Chinko, the company's administrative supervisor, is a veteran employee who has been with us since the beginning of the business, and I am familiar with her. When she saw me, she greeted me warmly and said that she was ordering afternoon tea for the employees and asked if I would like to have some as well. I wasn't planning to stay long, so I declined. Enzo Joe seemed happy when he saw me in the conference room. He held my hand, his smile unstoppable. Lyra, you're a great help. I don't know what I would do without you. The executives below booed, as if they had been force-fed dog food. I lowered my eyes and smiled faintly, my gaze sweeping across everyone present. Most of them were familiar faces, and I didn't see anyone with a strange expression. That's right, Enzo Joe always handles things reliably. In all likelihood, he wouldn't arrange for me and the mistress to be at the same event. Even if the mistress is really there, Enzo Joe would definitely not flirt with me in front of her. Then it should be someone below the senior management level, or someone outside the company. It's just something I didn't expect. Some wildflowers often like to prance in front of the main attraction. While I was still wondering how to find this woman, she took the initiative to come to me. Before leaving, Enzo Joe told me that the company would be providing afternoon tea later, and asked me to stay and have something before leaving. I couldn't be bothered to explain that I had already declined the offer with the HR manager, so I just nodded and said nothing. Besides, I haven't been here for a long time, and I also want to see how the company is doing now. The company's basic systems and benefits were actually proposed and improved by me at the beginning, with a systematic and clear promotion assessment and salary increase system, and the management is relatively flat and humanized. Therefore, employees have a strong sense of belonging to our company, and it is rare for long-term employees to suddenly resign. For so long, the company has been implementing the same old system, which has never changed. As I walked along, many familiar faces greeted me. Every other word was Lyra, which made me feel a little embarrassed. Thinking about it, it's actually been a long time since anyone called me that. No, I'm mostly called Zhou Shiyan's mother and Mrs. Zhou. It's been a long time since anyone called me by my name, Lyra Shen. I went to the restroom midway, as I went out to wash my hands. A young girl next to me was touching up her makeup in front of the mirror. Seeing my face in the mirror, she suddenly exclaimed, and then said in a very exaggerated tone, "Sister Shen, your Sister Shen, right?" I was startled by her and turned to look at her. I saw a face with delicate makeup, full apple cheeks, long and curled eyelashes, and a bold lipstick shade, an oval face, almond eyes, and cherry lips, a very beautiful face. "Who are you?" I asked. "I don't seem to recognize this face." She then smiled apologetically and said, "Oh, I'm a new intern at the company." "My name is Lily XV, I said. "Oh," and smiled. "That's great, very energetic, Sister Shen. You too, your skin is so good. You can't tell you're over 30 at all." Lily XV looked at me with a smile. "President Zhou always praises you for being beautiful in front of us. Seeing you today, it's indeed well deserved." I pulled off 2 paper towels, wiping my hands as I smiled at her. "What else did your CEO Zhou say about me?" She propped her chin with her hand, pouted her lips, and thought hard for a while before smiling apologetically. "It seems like that's all he said. I didn't hear him say much else." At that moment, I didn't hesitate at all. I could immediately confirm that this was Enzo Zhou's mistress. "Really?" I tossed the used tissue into the trash can, my tone as casual as if discussing the weather. "Enzo Zhou often mentions company matters to me." I smiled at her. "But he did say that the new intern is less qualified than previous graduates." Lily XV stared at me, her face instantly clouding over. I tilted my head at her, asking with feigned confusion, "He wasn't talking about you, was he, Miss Su?" Lily XV must have been very upset by what I said, because until I left the restroom, she didn't say another word, her face as dark as could be. I chatted with the administrative supervisor, Chen Ke, for a while and got a general understanding of the company's recent developments. Before long, the afternoon tea ordered by the company arrived. She personally handed me a warm latte, smiling as she said, "Lyra, your taste hasn't changed in the past few years, has it? I remember you like this, although you said it wasn't necessary. Mr. Zhou specifically instructed me, and no matter what, I wouldn't dare to neglect you." I thanked them, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw Lily XV in the distance holding a milk tea, frowning and complaining to a colleague. I told them I wanted 0-calorie sugar, 0-calorie sugar. As if they couldn't understand human language, they still ordered regular full sugar for me. "I'm trying to lose fat, and it's such a trashy store. I usually wouldn't even touch milk tea that costs less than 30 yuan. Every word entered my ears, and naturally, Chen Ke next to me heard it all too. "Lily XV, Chen Ke said with a stern face, raising her voice, not indulging her at all. "Afternoon tea is an employee benefit, purchased uniformly by the administrative department. Because there are so many people, there are regulations for the budget and process, and customization is not supported. I have clearly informed you of this before. If the items don't suit your taste, you can choose not to order them. Don't take them and keep complaining here." Lily XV only noticed that the person involved was on the scene, and immediately turned pale with fright, seeing me next to Chen Ke. Her expression turned even uglier. She hunched over and slunk back to her workstation. I stayed at the company until evening, calculating the time, and it was almost time for my daughter to get out of school. I remembered what the teacher said today, that there was a parent-child game homework assignment tonight that required parents to help their child complete. So before leaving, I decided to say goodbye to Enzo Zhou and tell him to go home early tonight. I walked to his office door and heard Lily 15's voice coming from inside. "Director Zhou, Chen Ke criticized me in front of the whole office again today. She's gone too far, not leaving me any face at all." Her voice was sweet and affected. "That must be because you messed up again, you little scatterbrain." Enzo Zhou's voice was filled with laughter. "How can you say that about someone? I'm going to be mad. You just cheered me up, and now you don't cherish me at all. Okay, I was wrong. All right, I'll buy you a bag. Okay, and your wife? I don't know what you saw in her back then. I finally saw her in person today, and she's just okay. She's getting old and doesn't deserve you at all. Lily XV, how many times have I told you not to speak ill of my wife? Enzo Joe's voice deepened. You're scolding me for her again. You just think I'm less experienced and stupid, right? I turned and left, not listening anymore. See, that's how men are. They clearly cheat, but still want to establish authority in front of their mistress. It seemed the more affectionate he acted, the more he could diminish the few remaining feelings of guilt in his heart. That night, I left a WeChat message for Enzo Joe, asking him to come home early. He must have been placating Lily XV, as he replied to me much later. There's a dinner tonight, entertaining clients, so I won't be back. Get some rest, love you. And at that moment, I was sitting by the bed telling Kitty a bedtime story. She opened her big eyes and asked me curiously, Mommy, why would the little mermaid rather turn into foam than tell the prince the truth? I said with a smile, because if she clung to love, she wouldn't be able to obtain an immortal soul. Kitty seemed to understand. So does she love the prince? I thought about it and replied, maybe she loved me, but she loved herself a little more. Kitty thought for a long time, but with her little brain, she probably couldn't understand why there are so many kinds of love. After lulling her to sleep, I went to the study and turned on the computer. I opened the chat page with Chinka. There, prominently displayed, was a link to a personal social media page with the online name Anna. Below is the message Chinka sent me, Lyra's sister. Here's the social media account you wanted for Lily XV. Do you really think she looks like some popular internet celebrity? Crying and laughing. If you find out who it is, remember to tell me so I can go watch too. Of course I don't think Lily XV looks like an internet celebrity. That was just an excuse I made up off the top of my head. I just wanted to see what kind of person Enzo Joe was having an affair with, that's all. Lily XV clearly doesn't have much awareness of protecting her personal privacy. Every now and then she would post photos of her daily life, and in those photos, there were bound to be places where personal information wasn't properly masked. After browsing her homepage for over 10 minutes, I've already figured out several of her other social media IDs. After going through them one by one, I roughly figured out her usual hobbies and interests. She often goes to a bar called West Street in the city center. Likes to recommend designer bags and show off large sums of money her man transfers to her, frequently likes borderline male bloggers with abs, occasionally has typos and obvious grammatical errors in her writing, posts every now and then to complain about the company and colleagues, indiscriminately attacking most of the netizens in the comments section. Overall, he's not a difficult person to figure out. With Enzo Joe's current wealth, Lily XV is definitely not with him just for love. I sat in the study thinking for a long time, wondering why Enzo Joe would be interested in this kind of woman. He used to admire my rationality and practicality, saying that meeting me was the luckiest thing in his life. Time flies, and the dashing young man of the past has now begun to grow slightly plump, with a receding hairline year after year, no longer the way I remember him. Perhaps even his taste has changed. I called my bestie Nova. She berated Enzo Joe for more than half an hour, and then agreed to my request. She said, "Girl, we grew up wearing the same pair of pants. Tell me about any difficulties you have. I'll go through hell and high water to get it done for you." After hanging up the phone, I suddenly burst out laughing at myself for almost believing that I was the princess in a fairy tale who would eventually have a happy ending. Perhaps life and fairy tales do have something in common. A beautiful pumpkin carriage and a heavy dress will revert to their original state once the time limit is up. Marriage is the same, 7 years, 7 months, it makes no difference. Enzo Joe is not a prince, nor did a fairy godmother save me from the fire and water. Enzo Joe was coming home later and later, and communicating with me less and less. He even forgot about outings with his daughter several times. Kitty was stood up several times and is very sad. But she is very sensible and knows that her dad is always busy with work, so she never gets angry with her parents about this kind of thing, but at night, she would still secretly bury herself in my arms and cry, asking me with tearful eyes, "Is there something I did wrong? Does Daddy not like me anymore? Otherwise, why does he always forget the things he promised?" I didn't know what to say. Enzo Joe has always been busy with his career, leaving him with little time to spend with his daughter. Now that he's multitasking, he has even less time to consider his daughter's feelings. The more you yearn, the more disappointed you become. In Kitty's growing up, he, as a father, has been absent for a long time. The turning point occurred on my anniversary with Enzo Joe. That day, he surprisingly remembered that he was actually a part of this family. He took the initiative to book a restaurant and a candlelight dinner for two. Or perhaps, realizing that he had been playing a bit too much lately, he unusually wanted to compensate me this once. I bet he even told Lily XV in advance not to disturb our time alone tonight. Unfortunately, Enzo Joe forgot that we have a 3-year-old daughter. In order not to ruin this carefully prepared dinner, I sent Kitty to Nova in advance. Before leaving, Nova held Kitty's hand, smiled, and raised her chin at me, "Wishing you all the best. Of course, it will be smooth." This is a rare moment of conscience from Enzo Joe. Everything must go smoothly. The atmosphere in the restaurant was intimate. The bright candlelight reflected in Enzo Joe's eyes, his gaze gentle as he took my hand. "Lyra, these years have been hard on you. The company has been busy lately, and I haven't had time to spend with you. You don't blame me, do you?" I subtly withdrew my hand, picked up my wine glass, took a sip, and said with a smile, "You work so hard for this family. How could I bear to blame you?" Elegant piano music poured down like moonlight. Enzo Joe's eyes were glazed. "Lyra, tonight His words were interrupted by a ringing phone. Enzo Joe glanced at the caller ID and answered the phone with a frown. No one knows what was said on the other end, but his face suddenly turned extremely ugly. I watched him hang up the phone with a sullen face, his chest rising and falling, obviously holding back a burst of anger. But perhaps because I was there, he was embarrassed to lose his temper, picking up the knife and fork in his hand, then putting them down again, looking restless. To be honest, his acting skills are really clumsy. I didn't ask him what was wrong, but lowered my head and ate slowly. In less than half a minute, he couldn't resist. "Lyra, something urgent came up at the office. I have to go there right away," he said hesitantly. But he had already picked up his coat. "I'm sorry. Can you eat and go home first? I'll be back soon, okay?" I nodded understandingly. He immediately got up and left. His footsteps were chaotic and disordered, but he didn't forget to pay the bill. I watched his back as I slowly straightened up and dabbed my mouth with a napkin. "Tired, aren't you, Enzo Joe? How long can you keep pretending?" Enzo Joe indeed came home quickly, compared to his frantic state when he left. He looked like a defeated rooster when he returned home, dispirited and crestfallen. Indeed, after all, he was going to catch someone in the act. After all, the little flower she had nurtured with her own hands was now with a younger man. Anyone would find that hard to swallow. I bet he's probably still wondering if Lily XV was with other men on those nights she wasn't with him. Jealousy is the best seasoning between the sexes, and all I need to do is offer appropriate comfort to reassure him. Poor Enzo Joe. This is real affection. I held him in my arms and gently patted his back, as if soothing a child. "You work so hard. I feel so sorry for you, darling." In front of the full-length mirror, I revealed a faint, almost invisible, sneer. Enzo Joe stood with his back to the mirror, his body bent, his head buried deeply in the hollow of my neck, his body trembling slightly. Even though he feels so bad inside, he doesn't dare to tell me a single truth. After a long while, he sighed and whispered, "Lyra, I love you." I smiled and kissed his forehead. "I love you too, forever." Lily XV is indeed not one to be trifled with. She's more foolish than I imagined. After breaking up with Enzo Zhou, she was fired by the HR department for insufficient workability, without even passing the probationary period. Lily XV clearly didn't accept this outcome. She felt that Enzo Zhou was taking revenge, so she made a scene at the company, making Enzo Zhou's affair with her known to everyone. Enzo Zhou was so angry that his face turned blue, showing no sentimentality. He directly ordered the security guards to kick her out. At that moment, I had just arrived at the company to see Enzo Zhou. Lily XV found my car in the parking garage, frantically pounding on my car window, screaming hysterically, "You bitch, you must be the one behind all of this. Wasn't he celebrating your anniversary? Why did he suddenly come looking for me? Don't you even have the ability to keep a man? If you can't keep him, just give him to me. You're so old already. And he's cheating on you. Don't you feel disgusted with yourself for still holding on to him?" I find it quite disgusting, but seeing Lily 15's frustrated look, I found it even funnier. I rolled the car window down a crack, making sure she could hear what I said. "What, you don't still think you can climb the ladder, do you?" I asked her with a smile. Lily XV, her face flushed with anger, said, "What do you mean? He said he would divorce you. You're not young anymore. Do you still believe what a man says when his brain is controlled by his lower body?" I raised my eyelids and looked at her. "What makes you think Enzo Zhou would divorce me for you? He loves me. He has no feelings for you anymore. What are you even worth?" Lily XV screamed hysterically at me, her eyes bloodshot and her face full of mania. Firstly, the company was co-founded by Enzo Zhou and me after we got married, and it belongs to the joint property of the husband and wife. If he divorces me, he will have to give me half of everything he owns now, and as the party at fault for cheating, he will only lose more. This money is far more than buying you 2 bags. I could even sue to get back those bags of yours as the original wife. I looked into her eyes, my smile deepening. "Do you think President Zhou can't calculate this cost? Do you really think he has no feelings for me?" I paused, looking at her with amusement. "Why do you think he doesn't allow you to say even one bad word about me?" Lily XV stood frozen in place. "That's right, men are just like that. He wants this, that, and more. He hopes the red flag at home never falls, while colorful flags flutter outside. Besides," I paused, my gaze sweeping over her from head to toe, "everyone in the company is familiar with me. Do you really think you can win people over with your experience? Even if you do get the position, you think I kept Enzo Zhou by love?" I smiled faintly. "Lily XV, you are a little too naive." She looked at me in disbelief, as if she was meeting me for the first time today. Before leaving, I suddenly remembered something and asked her, "By the way, is the male model I arranged for you in good shape?" Lily 15's eyes flickered, as if she realized something. Her face turned pale, and she trembled, unable to speak. "Returned from studying abroad. Wealthy second generation, corporate executive, annual salary of $1 million. Gentle and considerate, generous," I smiled, my eyes crinkling. "A persona tailored just for you, should be to your liking, right?" Lily XV let out a blood-curdling scream. The next second, she took off her high heels, ready to smash my car window. "Bitch, slut, you'll die a horrible death." And I had already floored the accelerator, driving out of the parking space, leaving her standing there to eat my exhaust fumes. Rumors at the company eventually reached my ears. I prepared myself for a heart-to-heart talk with Enzo Zhou. I said, "I never thought you would cheat on me. I can't accept it," I said. "We were so good together. Where did I go wrong?" I said, "Enzo Zhou, I feel disgusted. I want to divorce you." I even shed 2 tears when I got emotional. Enzo Zhou naturally refused. He frantically apologized and begged for forgiveness. He even knelt in front of me and swore that he would never make such a mistake again. I looked at him, silent. and fell into a long silence. So, filled with guilt towards me, Enzo Joe's attitude began to be humble and submissive. He comes home more often, and his words have become sweeter. He, who hadn't been in the kitchen for what felt like 800 years, actually started cooking. He spends more and more time with Kitty. Honestly, watching him looking so terrified is quite amusing. Lily XV never appeared in my life again. Enzo Joe now wishes he could stay far away from her, so she won't have the chance to tell him everything I've done. Even if she did, Enzo Joe would choose to believe me. After all, it's a mistress who two-timed, versus a loyal and responsible good wife and mother. Who wouldn't know which one to believe? Enzo Joe's parents personally came to plead on his behalf, asking me to forgive his momentary lapse in judgment for the sake of our many years of relationship. Now that things have progressed to this point, it seems I should stop here, I said to Enzo Joe. My heart is still very confused, and I need to go out and calm down, and think carefully about what's going on between us. I want to go to Sonia with Nova for a trip. Enzo Joe didn't hesitate and directly helped Nova and me book the plane tickets, telling me to have fun. He stayed at home to take care of the kids. Nova and I were lying on the beach in Sonia sunbathing. She pushed her sunglasses up and raised her eyebrows, asking me, "Are you really not going to get a divorce? There's only 0 times or countless times when it comes to cheating." I laughed. "Let's see, he's doing pretty well now," Nova scoffed. "Foolish. That's a trick to deceive you. That dog is just sure you can't leave him. Let's put that aside for now." I propped myself up and looked at Nova. "I might need to borrow another female artist from you later." Nova rolled her eyes. "Are you addicted to it? What, am I just part of your play?" I'll say it again. I run a legitimate entertainment company, not some brothel. Oh, I paid. Isn't that still the same old bunch, since returning from Sonia? I haven't mentioned divorce again. Enzo Joe has also reverted to his original persona of a dedicated and affectionate good man. Gradually, it seemed no one mentioned his affair anymore. I still took the children to and from school, cooked and did housework, and played my role as a full-time housewife. He and I still had a stable relationship, envied by others, but in places unseen by outsiders. I wouldn't even let him touch me, actually. After Kitty was born, the quality of our sex life declined significantly. Ever since I found out he was cheating, I started making excuses to avoid being intimate with him, but I imagine Enzo Joe was actually relieved. After all, he had Lily XV to comfort him at that time. He probably could only handle one woman at a time anyway, but now, his wildflower has been plucked by me, and I won't let him touch me, so he seems to be enduring it very hard. With a constipated look on his face every day, I'm very curious. Can a man who has tasted blood really resist temptation and remain steadfast? How long can Enzo Joe resist? That day, I received a file in my email. It was a draft of a novel's film and television adaptation rights sales contract. I know the time is almost up. I sent a model's resume to Chinkuan administration. I think this person is pretty good. She was recommended by a friend. Let's choose her for the company's new product promotion. Don't tell Enzo Joe that I pre-selected her. I don't want him to use someone he has his eye on. Of course, she's sharp as a tack. She knows all about Enzo Joe's little secrets. When Lily 15's incident first came out, she even sent me a message to comfort me. "Okay, Lyra, I'll do whatever you say." As I expected, Enzo Joe's loyalty to marriage is 0. The new model has only been with the company for a month, and he's already cheating again. I caught them kissing in the office with my own eyes, I have to say. Nova's people are really effective, proactive, quick, and ruthless. He doesn't dilly-dally when handling matters. He also sends messages very promptly. Indeed, a man who has tasted blood is most unable to resist a woman's advances. This incident is even bigger than the last one with Lily XV. Enzo Joe has lost face all the way to the Pacific. His affairs have become the talk of the employees during their leisure time. After all, He had always presented himself as someone who was devoted to and doted on his wife. The employees also bought into this image and respected him a great deal. Although the last incident with Lily XV was shocking, many employees still didn't believe that Enzo Joe would cheat. They all thought it was Lily XV intentionally smearing the boss after being fired, but now, his image as a devoted man has been completely shattered. Everyone was surprised to find that beneath Enzo Joe's glamorous exterior lies nothing more than a rotten cucumber. This time, even Enzo Joe's parents didn't know how to persuade me again. I wouldn't listen to any explanations and was determined to get a divorce. I said, "Enzo Joe, I've completely given up on you." Enzo Joe smoked one cigarette after another, seeing that there was no hope of redeem. He could only silently agree, perhaps. He also felt that there was indeed no need to continue this kind of marriage. The division of property went smoothly, perhaps feeling guilty, or perhaps still harboring some affection for me. Enzo Joe didn't struggle at all in this regard. He said, "Lyra, you don't earn much writing, and you've spent so many years of your youth with me. I'm the one who's let you down. You'll get everything you deserve, not a penny less, the house, the car." I didn't stand on ceremony at all. I said, "I'm not good at running a business, so why don't you convert my shares into cash, and from now on this company and I will have nothing to do with each other." So he went around raising money and transferred the sky-high transfer fee to my card. The day after I got my divorce certificate, my copyright adaptation contract was officially signed and took effect. 3 days later, I received a copyright fee of 2 million yuan. Enough for me to buy an apartment in the city center. Property after the divorce, it's my personal income. Enzo Joe only knows that my writing doesn't earn as much as his running a company, but he doesn't know how much the film and television adaptation rights of one of my books are worth. Overnight, I became a single, wealthy woman, with a fortune far exceeding Enzo Joe's. Kitty was also awarded to me, because I have been dutiful and attentive throughout her upbringing, taking care of her in every possible way. And because I am emotionally stable and never lose my temper, the child is already used to being with me. In contrast, Enzo Joe doesn't even know that Kitty is allergic to certain fruits. He really has never let me down. I don't know how much the divorce hit Enzo Joe, but a large equity transfer fee and the discounted cost of the house probably left him breathless. In addition, the cheating scandal that was widely publicized when we divorced also tarnished the company's image with him. And the market price plummeted. Many original partners canceled their cooperation agreements due to concerns about the impact of Enzo Joe's reputation. In just 2 weeks, the company's market value had shrunk to only half of its original value. I heard that Enzo Joe was so worried every day that he couldn't even eat. The next time I saw Enzo Joe was at the entrance of my newly bought house. He was carrying fruit and candy, waiting for me at my door. He had changed so much. His figure was much more hunched, and his hair had turned very white. Looking at his face again, you would feel that he suddenly looked more than 10 years older. Even Kitty didn't recognize him right away. She hid timidly behind me before calling out hesitantly, "Daddy." Enzo Joe's face quickly lit up with delight as he opened his arms to Kitty and responded with a hearty shout. Kitty leaped forward with joy. I opened the door and let him in, and we sat face to face in the living room drinking tea and chatting. Kitty is doing homework in the room. He still calls me Lyra. His eyes were gentle as he reminisced about the past. And then he said to me, "I heard you've been doing well lately." Then, as I expected, he wanted to borrow money from me. I refused with a smile, leaving no room for maneuver. "Enzo Joe, when you cheated on me and slept with other women during our marriage, didn't you expect this day would come, when you gave up the opportunity to go out and bond with our daughter to frolic with your mistress? Didn't you think about any of this?" Enzo Joe looked a little embarrassed, unsure of what to do with his hands. I got up and handed back the bag of mangoes he had brought. Also, Kitty is allergic to mangoes. Don't you even know that by now? Finally, Enzo Joe tucked his tail between his legs and slunk away. He didn't even dare to say goodbye to Kitty. My daughter stood at the door, watching his departing figure with disappointment. Dad really hasn't changed at all. About 3 months or so passed again. I heard that many veteran employees of the company had resigned. Yeah, I dug it out. I am currently working as the director of publicity at Nova's company. Nova is a second-generation rich, whose family lacks nothing except money and connections. I poached almost all of the old employees who had a good relationship with me and the right expertise to Nova's company. For those who didn't have the right expertise, I also introduced them to other companies with good prospects, following Nova's instructions. Those were talents who had survived the winnowing process, each with top-notch professional skills, thanks to the reliable persona I built in the early days of my business. Even though I haven't worked with them for several years, they trust my character enough. Nova was getting dizzy from looking at the resumes and kept giving me thumbs up. She said she was lucky to have me as a friend. It not only filled the vacancy but also helped her gain some favor. I told you, Enzo Joe is nothing without you, marrying so young. You're really confused when you go out. Say you're not married. Kitty was born by going fatherless and keeping the daughter. Never say you have any relationship with Enzo Joe. It's really embarrassing, a stain on your life. It was a full 6 months after Enzo Joe and I divorced that he seemed to suddenly come to his senses. One evening, he gave me a call, bellowing at the top of his lungs into the phone. He raged, "Lyrishan, explain yourself. Did you poach all the company executives? You have no conscience? Isn't ruining me like this enough? Do you want to force me to my death? I don't understand." I replied indifferently. Enzo Joe was so angry he swore directly, "Don't play innocent with me. I ran into Lily XV on the road today, and she said that you planned everything from the start. You were already preparing to divorce me and divide the family property, right? You just want to ruin me. All these years of feelings from our marriage have gone to the dogs." "Oh," I said languidly, "Mr. Joe. Are you saying that you didn't actively cheat, but that I planned everything to force you to change your mind and personally send you to Lily 15's bed? Is that right?" Enzo Joe choked with anger. "Cheating was my fault, but you can't just— Oh, you mean, even though you cheated, I have to forgive you, diligently be a good wife and mother, and spare no effort to influence you with love?" I laughed. "Enzo Joe, there's no such thing, Lyrishan. You used to be so kind. How could you become like this? I even considered our past relationship and always thought of you when dividing the property, never even thinking of cutting back on your share." Enzo Joe gritted his teeth. "You really have a big face, treating the benefits I deserve as your charity." I lowered my eyes, my tone mocking. I knew this day would come when Enzo Joe and I would fall out. This is also why I didn't expose his affair immediately. If our divorce was acrimonious, he would definitely manipulate the division of assets in advance. After all, Enzo Joe has been firmly entrenched in the company for so long, and if he uses unconventional methods to transfer assets in advance, I would definitely be in a very passive situation and it would be more difficult to fight for my own interests. Therefore, I must play the part of a deaf and blind Mrs. Joe without batting an eye, and love him wholeheartedly. I took advantage of Enzo Joe's feelings for me. Although he loves me, he can't resist the temptation of cheating even more. The more ignorant I appear to be about his infidelity, the more guilty he will feel towards me. The more considerate I am, the more his conscience is tormented, hypocritical, and indecisive. In 12 years, I know him too well, and as long as he feels sorry for me and wants to compensate me, I would be able to safely get the money that belonged to me. Perhaps, on the day he got the divorce certificate, he was still thinking about when he could remarry me. After all, in his eyes, I loved him so much. How could I leave him? Didn't meet your expectations. How disappointing for you. I curled my lips into a faint smile, speaking into the phone to Enzo Joe. "Just so you know, not only was Lily 15's affair, which you caught, orchestrated by me, but also that model you had an affair with the second time. How does it feel, Enzo Joe? Is the taste of infidelity exciting? Silence hung heavy on the other end of the phone, followed by the loud crash of something being smashed. Lyrishan, you just wait. I will never let you get away with this. Enzo Joe's voice was already twisted with rage. Say something else. I'm recording this, I said calmly. Enzo Joe completely fell silent. Oh, right. I heard your current fiancée is already 3 months pregnant. Congratulations, I said with a smile. But I might have some bad news for you. You probably haven't forgotten that we used to go for annual checkups, right? You were busy with work, so I always picked up the results. Remember how I praised you for having excellent health indicators every year? Now that we're divorced, I don't have anything to hide from you anymore. I spoke slowly and deliberately, making sure he could hear me clearly. Actually, after Kitty was born, your sperm activity has been declining year after year. The doctor said that with your condition, it would be difficult to have children in the future. I was afraid you'd feel inferior, so I never told you and secretly made tonic soups for you. Does your current fiancé know about this? I asked him with a smile. She must have made tonic soups for you too, right? The other end of the phone was silent for a full half-minute. Then, Enzo Joe hung up the phone without a word. Nova next to me licked her ice cream and silently gave me a thumbs up. To kill a man, destroy his heart. I leaned on the railing of the amusement park, watching Kitty ride the carousel. She was having so much fun, as if she had forgotten all the worries in the world. So, I've won this battle, haven't I? I wonder. When Kitty grows up, when she understands and comprehends these things, will she have a different perspective on the role of her father? But until then, I will be with her for countless beautiful moments to come. Even if her life doesn't have the presence of a father figure, she will still be the happiest child in the world, and I will also teach her that the prerequisite for loving anyone is to love herself first. I will personally give her a pumpkin carriage and elaborate formal dress without any time limit. I want her to never settle.